Hello and welcome back to the channel. In today's episode, we are going to be discussing the migration of our existing Battleship code project, which we have covered in the past few weeks, into the new Unity 6 VR template. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the process step by step. All right, so first things first, if you haven't done so already, go ahead and download Unity 6, go to unity.com, products, and Unity Engine, and from there you can pretty much download all of the available versions and all of the different um, license pricing types, plans, and pricing that they have. For this particular case, you don't need anything extraordinary, so you can just utilize Unity Personal or Unity Student and get started. So go ahead and get the actual Unity engine if you haven't done so already. And from there, I'll show you the next steps. The best way to actually install Unity is to download Unity Hub. And from Unity Hub, what you can do is click on Install Editors. And once you click on Install Editors, what you'll see is that all of the available versions of Unity that you can go ahead and install. So for this particular case, we have Unity 2022, the latest LTS, we have Unity 6, the current LTS, and a bunch of other LTSs that you may or may not require for your older projects. For this particular demonstration, we are going to go ahead and install Unity 6. And once you install Unity 6, the next thing we are going to do is from our projects, we are going to click on New Project. In the new project, make sure that the editor version over here is set to Unity 6. And the next thing you want to do is make sure that your VR core template is downloaded. So if this is not downloaded, you might have an icon such as this, like the cloud download icon. So in this particular case, there's a bunch of really nice templates. We have the VR core template, the VR multiplayer sample template, and the mixed reality template. So for this particular example, we are going to utilize the VR core template. So go ahead and download the template and create a specific project name. I have already created this. I'm not going to redo it, but provide a project name for yourself. Choose a location where you want to actually initiate this project. And if you do have an organization associated with it, then go ahead and assign that. For this particular demonstration, we are not going to be connecting to any of the Unity Cloud or any of the Unity version controls, but these are other options that you may enable or disable at any time, either while you're creating the project or afterwards. Later, you can't hook them up. So go ahead and give it a project name. Make sure you're on the VR core and make sure your editor version is 6.x, right? So mine is .31f1. This is the one that was the latest at the time of me creating this particular project. Yours could be a little higher than this. So once you click create project, make sure that Android is enabled because we are going to deploy it on the Quest headset. So let's go ahead and do that. Go ahead and create this. And then when we come back, I'll show you guys how the actual project looks by default and then what we are going to do next. All right, great. So now that you have installed Unity 6, installed the VR core template, and created a project using the VR core template provided by Unity. If you open up the sample scene, your sample scene should look something like this. And basically over here, you have all of the required basic necessities as far as getting started. In fact, you can go ahead and click play here. You can see how it works in the simulation. You can actually build this and deploy it onto your headset. I'm going to be utilizing the Quest 3 headset, and you can actually see that it's working out pretty nice and decent. So once this is done, before we actually migrate over the code, it is actually generally a good idea to go ahead and do a test build. And in order for you to be able to do a test build, you're assuming that you have installed the Android Studio and all of the required SDKs for Android. And from your build profile, we switch over to Android. And then all you need to do is click on build, right? So you would click on build and you would go ahead and select the folder. In this particular case, what I've done is that I created this builds folder, and inside the builds folder, I created another Android folder, and inside the Android folder is where I tell it to create the APK package. And generally speaking, that name that I provided is the name of the actual package that you would want to incorporate into your application, your product, when you're going to be deploying it onto the store. So in this particular case, mine is called com.funkymonkey.unity6 vr template.apk. At this point, it doesn't really matter what this name is. We just want to make sure that when you click on build and you click on save, yes, replace that. It goes ahead and builds everything without. All right, there we go. So the build was completed, and generally speaking, when the build is complete, it would notify you that you can find the build at a specific um, uh, folder location, and then it's ready to go. All right, so there's another piece of software that you probably should have, and that's pretty much the Meta Developer Hub. And from the Meta Developer Hub, what you can do is basically have access to all of your different devices. And from those different, and basically what you can do is once you hook up the device, you can simply drag and drop this APK for onto that device, and it would do the installation of the APK. I'll show you guys how this is done for the actual Battleship game once we go through all of the other steps in there. Okay, so this is another piece of software that you want need in order for you to deploy it and be able to do a bunch of other stuff as well. All right, so the next step is to actually download the code that we have built already. That includes everything that you would need regarding the actual assets and also the code that we have built for the Battleship game. In order for you to be able to do that, you'll have to go to the Patreon page and become a member. The membership is free. Once you become a member, you can click on the collections, and from the collections, what you can do is go ahead and be able to download the actual code project. You would click on that particular link over here. And right here, we have a Unity package. And what you want to do is download this Unity package. Once this Unity package has been downloaded, the next step, it would be for you to import it into that VR template project that you just created using Unity, right? So go ahead and download this Unity package, the Battleship 2024 YouTube project .unity package, and this will include all of the source code that you would need and all of the assets that you would need in order for us to convert this particular uh, desktop application into a VR application. All right, so go ahead and do that. And once you do that, I'll show you what the next step is. All right, great. So now that you have the actual package, this is the way you would import it into your project. So you go to Assets, Import Package, Custom Package. And from here, select the actual package that you downloaded and go ahead and click Open. And Unity will extract the content of the package. And this is pretty much what you would see. Okay. So What you can do is just go ahead and click import, but before over here, you would have a new folder called YouTube Battleship, and all of the assets that we are going to be utilizing to create the VR version of this application is going to be in this YouTube Battleship folder. And what are those assets? Those are all of the prefabs that we have and all of the scripts that have been built for the 3D version of it. So we'll see how to convert them over to the VR template. All right, so let's go ahead and start doing that. And for that, I'm going to open up a different project, which I've already done all of those things, and I'll walk you guys through all of the steps that you need to do. All right, so first things first. So since we are changing our whole environment and going from a 2D screen, a flat 2D screen to an actual 3D environment, some of the interactions and the UI menus are going to be also changing as well, right? So that comes with the territory and the domain. So what I have done over here is that I've created an empty root for the anything that is going to be in charge of the battleship. And I have gone ahead and brought over our board manager, and our board manager is pretty much the same. Pretty much does all of the same tasks, with the exception of a few things that have changed. And the other thing is that I've separated our player board and our AI board and give them a specific anchor points over here. In the future, we might want to be able to utilize these anchor points to move those boards over, transform them in and out of the scene. But for right now, they're going to be static. They're not going to be uh, used to do any transformations or interactability. But we have our player board origin, and then we have our AI board origin. Both of them have their own AI controllers. We have the player board controller and the AI board controller, as well as we have our game manager and the UI manager. However, the UI manager has been drastically reduced in scope. Similarly, the board manager has been drastically reduced in scope. What has been improved or what has been increased in scope is the actual board unit itself. Majority of the interactions and majority of the actual logic is now being handled by the interaction of a specific board unit and what happens when you do interact with that particular board unit. So we'll take a look at how that is being put together. So let's go back here and let me go ahead and quickly do a run over here so we can kind of get a glimpse. All right, so over here we have our video player. So this is right out of the box. Actually, the template provides you with this video player. So you can go ahead and just configure it and customize it. In this particular case, I used some AI tool to generate that video to give us something in the theme of the battleships. And I have done some video editing. And then afterwards, I just imported into the project and incorporate it into the video player. Over here, we have our basic UI, the game menu. The game menu basically is going to allow you to change the orientation of the placement of the board pieces. And you would select the actual board piece by using the controllers, the simulated controllers over here. And the way you do that is by clicking tab and tap. So if you, by default, this is the actual state of the input simulator. And if you click one tab, you'll get to control the left controller. If you click another tab, you will get to control the right controller. And if you click one more tab, you'll go back to the default state where the whole XR rig is going to be moving. So let's go ahead and now go ahead and place First of all, let's select the pieces. We do that by grabbing. Let's go ahead and change the orientation. So let's go ahead and place these pieces onto the board. And then we can take a look at how those have been put together. So let's move over here. And let's go ahead and do a grab. So if you have a hit, basically same logic applies. And if you have a miss, the AI will take over and they would basically uh, try their luck on our board. And if they do have a hit, then obviously we visualize that too. Okay. All right. So let's take a look at how to put all of these things together. I'm going to pause this and we can digest the design and then the actual code. All right, thank you for stopping by. So in part one, we discussed how to set up the project, how to go through the steps in creating a Unity 6 project with the VR template, and more importantly, how to download the Battleship code base that we have been working on, and how to migrate that into our VR template project. In part two, we are going to dive into the actual design and the code refactoring, where we are going to be incorporating and changing the logic and some of the interactions to make it more compatible with the VR settings. All right, thank you for stopping by, and don't forget to like and subscribe. See you guys soon. Have a good one. Bye bye.